We want the ball, we're going to score.
Tell them to bring me my money.
Dollar bills, y'all.
So we buying or are we selling? But let's start with this with our buy or sell segment. And of course, if you guys have been listening, you know how we do this. 5 statements. Are we going to buy it or are we going to sell it? And then the first statement, as I alluded to earlier, Alex, when we're talking about the Eagles, a little bit of quarterback controversy. Here's the first statement. Jalen Hurts will be starting in place of Carson Wentz this season. Buy it or sell it?
I know the people that are listening to this on the podcast version could not see how much angst just went over my head there.
It was a lot.
It was a lot. I mean, here's the thing. I buy it if this is a bad – this is a bad team. I buy this statement if they're not competing for a division title. I think the fact that they're still in first place in the NFC East, you have to stick with the real quarterback, as they say. It's just not enough time to implement a new system, especially when you can, theoretically have a shot at making the playoffs. And, who knows when you get in there? You get a home game. You obviously play the best wild card team in the NFC, who's going to be a really, really good team. It could be the Seahawks. It could be the Cardinals. It could be, it could be one of those NFC South teams that doesn't make it, the Bucs or the Saints. So it's not looking good for the playoffs this year as far as success when you get there. But I feel like if you're in the hunt and you're in division lead, you got to go with your guy. Mm-hmm. And this just is not the year to try out Jalen Hurts. Give him an offseason. Let Carson Wentz get thrown out of Philly, not just kind of let out like he's a –
And knowing those Philly fans, he will literally be thrown out of Philadelphia.
He'll get thrown out, but I'm saying let's save the Jalen card until things get really, really bad. And I think if you're sitting at the top of the division, doesn't matter how bad it is, you can't throw this big experiment Jalen Hurts into the mix right now because it's just not the right time.
And that's
I'm
why
going to have to sell it, but I really want to buy it.
And you say that, I say they're going to be competing. And since they're going to be competing, Carson Wentz is going to be sucking later on this season. Like he's already been he's not the guy. He's not the future. And I mean, it was crazy is when they were first drafted, we saw Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, 1 and 2. We saw 2 really big names. It's kind of a toss-up who's going to be taken first. And they had a great first year, at least Carson Wentz did. We were talking almost MVP conversation for Carson Wentz until he went down with that injury. We had Jared Goff, who was looking like the worst of the two, looking like the Rams really just kind of made a bad move. And now what we see is that Jared Goff, I would say, is definitely the better quarterback. Carson Wentz definitely is the worst quarterback of the two. I don't like Carson Wentz, and what's going to happen? They're going to be really, really close for a divisional win, for a divisional crown, and Carson Wentz is going to be sucking in the game. And so what we're going to see them pull the trigger on Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is going to be another savior in Philadelphia in terms of quarterbacks, and he's going to lead them to that divisional title.
Also, just kind of a side note, if you're any NFC East team right now, there is no motivation for you to try to go out there and win the division because A, you're not going to get a bunch of ticket sales from fans because you don't have a playoff game at home means nothing this year. Mm-hmm. It's not like you're going to create this huge energy in the fan base because the two teams that are, all those, unless it's the Washington football team making a miraculous jump to the division lead, that's the only time I can see.
And we see Alex Smith winning a touchdown in his first year back. Yeah, but it's like Super Bowl in his first year back.
you could have the same record, but just because you're the division winner, you have 12 worst picks in the draft. So it just there's no motivation to win the division this year. They should be competing to not win the division, but that's not going to happen because everyone sees a playoff spot and they're like, oh, we got to go get it. Let's sacrifice everything to go get it. And
let's sacrifice everything to get blown out in the first week of the playoffs. Exactly.
And to have 12 less draft picks. Doesn't make any sense. But
and stay on the conversation quarterback, so Alex, is that Russell Wilson, next statement, Russell Wilson will go another season without getting a single MVP vote. Buy or sell it?
I hate this narrative this year. It's so dumb because if you look at every single season that Russell had, the capability of winning MVP, there was a really good reason that he wasn't. I mean, last year it was Lamar. Lamar had an incredible year. 2 years before that, Patrick Mahomes set the entire league on fire. And it's just it's not because he's not a good player. He's an incredible player. He's got that syndrome where he's top 3 every single year, but he hasn't deserved an MVP vote yet. So everyone just keeps saying this thing like, oh, he's never got one before. There's a good reason he shouldn't have.
Guessing
And I
you're
think this year's going to
this.
be, oh, I'm going to buy it because he's not going to get a vote this year either.
Give me that.
There's a better quarterback in his division having a better season than him right now.
It's so tough. I think
He's got significantly less turnovers.
Kyler Murray's Hail Mary on Sunday put the nail in the coffin of Russell Wilson's MVP hopes this season. He was looking great at the beginning of the year, but it's these last 3 weeks. It's the 7 turnovers in 3 weeks that will guarantee that Russell Wilson is going to go another season without an MVP vote. He might finish the top 3 quarterback in the league again, but he's not the top quarterback in the league. And I know we're saying quarterback when we should just be saying player, but it's an MVP. It's a quarterback team position, and that's just how it goes. But like you, Alex.
Hell, Dalvin might have a better. He might have a better case than Russ right now.
Dalvin Cook at least should be in the conversations for MVP. He's a running back, so unless he has a 2,000-yard rushing season and 20 touchdowns to go along with it, he's not winning MVP, but he should at least be up there. Third statement, Alex, is that Drew Brees' injury now signals the end of his career.
So are you saying in this statement, I need a little clarification on this transaction. Are you saying that he's not going to start another game? Or are you saying that this is a sign to him that he shouldn't play anymore?
I'm saying that he will not start another game. He may want to, but the reality is that with this statement, he will not.
So I'm going to sell the statement because he's Drew Brees and he's got a lot of name value and they're not just going to not start him if he's healthy. But I would love to buy it if I had that kind of power to make this happen because I don't think Drew Brees is the best quarterback for this team. I don't think he's the second best quarterback for this team. I think Taysom and Jameis can both run this offense significantly better than Drew Brees. And I'm telling you, they're going to go on an offensive run here in the next couple of weeks. They're going to start to look over their shoulder like, this happened last year with Teddy Bridgewater. We went undefeated, and now it's happened again with Jameis Winston. Maybe we should just kick this old guy to the curb here and just, have the team doctors keep telling him he's unhealthy to come back to the season. So,
man, for this, I want to buy it.
He should be done.
See, I think with this statement, I'm going to buy it because I love Drew Brees as a person and as a quarterback. And with this, I think you can make the argument that he's a top 5 quarterback of all time. Now, that might be a different argument for a different show, but you can make the argument he's out there, the all-time leader in passing yards and all-time leader in completion percentage. You could say that's just because he dinks and dunks, but there's still a talent to that, and he is one of the all-time greats. And what I'm fearing now is he's going to keep on trying to come back and keep on extending his career, try to be like Tom Brady, when he's not. And when I'm just worried that he's going to ruin his legacy. And because I love him, and I would hate for people's opinion on him to sour, because we all know sports fans are extremely fickle, and we all just change on the flip of a coin. Except for me, because I'm perfect. Yeah. And you too, Alex. You're great. That's why we do this. We're both perfect. But a lot of the others.
That one without saying, but okay.
Yeah. Of course. But I had to preface it just for the people that are listening, some new time listeners. So I just wanted to give you guys an insight. But what I'm saying is that I'm buying the statement just because I hope Drew Brees is done. He's proven everything. He's won Super Bowls. He's been at the top of the world. He's been MVP. And I just want him to be done is all. He deserves retirement.
The problem. No, I get that. The problem here is that since the NFC he has a realistic chance to maybe make a run at a Super Bowl. Has any chance to actually win a Super Bowl against the AFC team, but he's
Also,
got
doesn't help that
like
Tom
the
Brady's
Saints.
in his league, in
You
his
asked me
division.
last week. Oh, I get that. Yeah, perfect point because he's got a guy that's same age as him doing the exact same thing.
But
So he's
better,
gonna be like, well, I can't quit. He's not quitting.
right?
I need this passing. I need this pass touch record. He's got it right now. So, uh, I don't think he's not gonna not play this year because he's got a really good team around him, and he doesn't need to do much. He needs to get the ball to Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas, and that's it. So he's gonna come back this year, but I really think that this Saints team is gonna offensive tear to be in a very, very tough position when Brees is ready to give it the old go again.
Very fair with that one. Our fourth statement of the show is that Big Ben has secured his Comeback Player of the Year award on Sunday, and also in so, he did just really put his name high up on the list for MVP this season. Here's a two-parter for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll buy both of those statements because he's on the only undefeated team right now. They have an off quarterback. I mean, that's almost two of the three prerequisites right there. Be on the best team and be the quarterback. So you got those two there. Comeback player comeback player of the year. There's not much competition. You thought it was him or Cam this year, and Alex Smith is there working on the old pity vote. But
I'm okay with the pity vote.
but I think Big Ben he's miles ahead in the comeback player of the year discussion if you're going based off logic. So
Yes.
yeah, I'm gonna buy both these statements, and I'm not gonna look back on it.
Same with you, Alex. I mean, didn't one of us, and I think I know who, predict in our preseason show that, Big Ben was going to be comeback player of the year? Or am I giving you
I'm always right, so I just assumed that was already known.
That's fair. Just wanted to give you that little pat on the back, you little douche. But
I appreciate that.
I'm buying both of these, 100%. He's easily good. It's no question that he's going to be comeback player of the year unless he just falls off a cliff and Alex Smith just goes out and throws for 5 touchdowns a game. And then MVP candidate, definitely for the same exact reasons that you said, Alex. Prerequisites, we're just talking MVP, you got to be the quarterback, and you got to be on the good team. He has 2 of those, and he's definitely going to be a playoff team. And he's definitely going to go deep into the playoffs, at least if they play like they're supposed to. And if he keeps keeping up like 4 touchdown games, he might be able to work his way to second highest in voting. It'd be hard pressed for him to beat Patrick Mahomes out because it's Patrick Mahomes and he's a young guy. He's the face of the league. He's not some old bum that hit questionably, well, let's put in quotes, hit on some women in bars and all that. We move past that. But Big Ben, he's up there buying both of these. And then something you're losing.
And here's I was just gonna kind of throw in that last point of Patrick Mahomes has a big issue right now as an MVP candidate because he's not competing against the other league. He's competing against himself. Mm-hmm. So he's got to worry about, am I having my best Patrick Mahomes season? It's the LeBron syndrome. It's every single year these guys should be the MVP of their respective leagues, but because they don't have the narrative, they expect every single time if they don't put up career highs, they're not going to get it. Mm-hmm. So, Patrick Mahomes, is he the MVP of the league every year? Yes. Is he going to win it? Probably not. But
LeBron James syndrome is that's a legitimate thing. And then, Alex, something you were talking about when we were talking about that Bears-Vikings game is that the Bears had to do something offensively. They had to solve the problem. And so this statement kind of goes hand with that, is that the Bears' offensive problems come from Matt Nagy, Bill Lazor, and not Mr. Trubisky or BDN.
I'm gonna buy half of that statement because I think that we can't completely take all of the blame off Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles because they're both just not good quarterbacks right now. So I don't think it's fair to just completely say this is all a coaching problem. There's definitely a coaching problem you have going on here. Nagy and Lazor are both not being able to run an efficient offense right now. You look at, is it the weapons? Well, Allen Robinson's a good player. Anthony Miller's decent. You have
Montgomery's a good player.
Your running game is not good. Granted, Montgomery's not a good player. Let's stop with that. He's he's got the one of the lowest elusiveness ratings that we've ever seen out of a running back. He
You don't
has
need
a
to be
very
elusive. Just put your head down
average
and get 5 yards of carry.
per carry. He gets 3 yards of carry, so
He has the
there's one
ability.
issue there.
If
But
he had
yeah,
a
I
better
mean,
offensive line and they knew, if the defense actually had to respect the pass game, they might actually be able to open something up underneath instead of just being able to stack the box every time and force Nick Foles to actually throw the ball.
yeah, I mean, he definitely doesn't. He doesn't have the right situation here to yield success for him. But I mean, this Bears offense is just a mess everywhere. There's just you don't have a calling card when you're the Bears offense. Like when you have 4 minutes left to go get a field goal or to go get a touchdown. What are you doing? What are you calling besides trying to go to Allen Robinson every play? That's your only offense right now. You don't have a go-to guy or a go-to play. You don't have an identity. You don't have something where you can rest your head on and say, at least we can do this well. You just don't have that. So that's the issue with this team right now. And if the defense isn't causing turnovers and short fields, this offense is not going to have a lot of success.
You bought half of this. I'm just going to go all in here. I'm going to buy the full statement. Is that sure? To your point that Mitch Trubisky definitely not the answer. Nick Foles, a better answer, but still not the right answer. But Bill Lazor's offense just it doesn't work. But most of the blame here has to come from Matt Nagy. The Bills ever since. Have we been able to see anything noticeable from the Bears ever since Matt Nagy took over the head coaching position? No. The biggest headline, the biggest thing that Matt Nagy is known for is trading up to draft Mitch Trubisky over Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. That's the only thing noteworthy that he's done in Chicago. He is just god awful. There's about 5 coaches right now that are on a hot seat. And Matt Nagy is probably on the hottest one out of all of those. He should have been fired last season. He should have been fired yesterday. He should have been fired last week. He should have been fired before he even became head coach on this team. And Bill Lazor and the rest of that coaching staff just needs to go with him. The Bears need to empty out the team. They need to focus on rebuilding, reloading, and they need a whole different offensive scheme. They need a whole different team chemistry and team kind of like a team ability. And
They see that complete overhaul.
Yeah.
I mean,
and the GM.
here's
the GM.
one question I pose to you.
Just blow it up.
I actually kind of like their GM's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But the one thing is what did Matt Nagy do to be able to get this leash that he has right now? I mean,
I don't know.
This is his first head. Yeah, he's under the Andy Reid coaching tree, which gives him a little bit of slack. But we've given this guy break after break after break. And he's almost latched onto this Mitch Trubisky narrative just so he can continue to have a bad offense and not take responsibility for it. And I'm just trying to think back of like, what has this guy done in previous stops? Like, at least when Chip Kelly came to the NFL, he had such a huge pedigree as an offensive genius. But what the heck has Matt Nagy done? He is his first head coaching job, and he's getting the leash of a 30-year vet. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
No.